In Brazil, the President of the Supreme Federal Court, Rosa Weber, delivers this Friday the federal constitution in the indigenous language to the National Library of Rio de Janeiro. The Military Junta of Niger authorized armed forces of Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene in case of an armed aggression on their territory. And while speaking with teleSUR at the BRICS summit, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova explained the importance of using local currency in international trade. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. On Thursday, members of the civil society organization Mirador Electoral have filed a complaint for coercion to vote during an election day last Sunday, August 20th. Representative of the organization Acción Ciudadana, which is part of the larger platform documented actions that will point to vote buying in several municipalities. The reports, which also includes the first electoral run in June 15th, registered the delivery of vouchers and food to voters by activists of the National Unity of Hope, Vamos, and Cabal parties. In Ecuador, the national public hearing is held for the vote counting of the early 2023 presidential and legislative elections. The authorities of the National Electoral Council reported the reception of the respective minutes with the reports corresponding to the vote counts of the early general elections 2023 of last August 20th. The organization plans to deal with the resolution of the special vote abroad, where it declares the nullity of the electronic votes, which, according to the complaints of some voters, were unable to vote due to failures. This Friday, both candidates from the Ecuadorian presidency, Luisa González and Daniel Noboa, already enjoyed police protection, which will be reinforced by the presence of the military. President Guillermo Lasso stated that the candidates in Ecuador's runoff elections, Luisa González and Daniel Noboa, will be protected by the armed forces. In a message posted on his social network, the Ecuadorian president announced that he had ordered the armed forces to provide security for the presidential candidates. In Brazil, the minister and president of the Supreme Federal Court, Rosa Weber, will deliver this Friday the federal constitution in the indigenous language to the National Library of Rio de Janeiro. With the support of 15 indigenous people from the Amazon regions in 1988, Constitutions was translated into the Nyangure language 35 years after its promulgation. The official Rosa Weber will also sign a cooperation agreement subscribed between the library and the National Council of Justice, which includes the exchange of information, documents, and technical institutional support. Former U.S. President Donald Trump was arrested at a Georgia jail on Thursday on racketeering and conspiracy charges and released on a $200,000 bond after having a historic mugshot taken. Trump, who is accused of colluding with 18 other defendants to overturn the 2020 elections results in southern states, spent less than 30 minutes inside Atlanta's Fulton County Jail before leaving in a motorcade for the airport. Like the other defendants in the case, who have surrendered so far, the 77-year-old Trump had his mugshot taken during the booking process, a first from any serving or former U.S. president. On Friday, the county of Maui in Hawaii is suing the island's power companies for negligence in the wake of severe weather conditions that led to the deadliest U.S. wildfires in a century. The lawsuit alleged that Maui Electric Company, Hawaii Electronic Company, and two other companies were negligent in failing to shut down equipment despite a red alert issued by the National Weather Service. According to the preliminary investigations on which the lawsuit is based, the downed power lines ignited dried fuels such as grass and brush, causing the deadly fires. Let's take a very first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back from the south. In the occupied West Bank, protesters condemned the country for National Security Minister for his recent televised remark about Palestinians. Thousands who oppose Israel's treatments of Palestinians demonstrated at a protest outside National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's home in a West Bank settlement. In an interview earlier this week, following into deadly Palestinian attacks on Israelis on the occupied territory, Ben-Gvir argued that his right to freedom of movement as a Jewish scholar awaits the same right for Palestinians.
On one hand, I was a bit shocked with his saying because it was so blunt, and he spoke his truth. But on the other hand, I was not surprised because that's the Israeli policy. We see it everywhere. We see that regulations and police enforcement, and they all enforce this kind of policy that the Jews can move wherever they want, and the Palestinians, they're not as free or not free at all.
In Bangladesh, thousands of Rohingya refugees gathered in camps to demand their safe return to Myanmar on the 6th anniversary of violence that drove them from their homes. Bangladesh houses nearly 1 million members of the minority who fled the 2017 military crackdown and are now the subject of genocide investigations at the International Crime Court. Frustration is widespread over rampant loneliness in refugee settlements, coupled with cuts to international humanitarian aid and a lack of process on a publicized reparation deal.
If Myanmar doesn't take us back to our homeland, then there will come a time from Myanmar that no Rohingya will remain in the camp. The way we all came here, one day we will go back in the same way. That's our plan. If they don't meet our demand, if they don't allow us our homeland and citizenship, we'll return according to our plan.
The Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, released on Friday the first images of the progress of the Chandrayaan-3 space mission on the surface of the moon. The images releases corresponding to the space mission publishes first steps of its rover after the landing in the moon's south pole on Wednesday, August 23. The Indian Space Agency also released a video on the Pragyan rover on the moon showing the distance of the rover from the Vikrant lander to begin its tour of the lunar surface. Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin regarding Japan's decision on the discharge of nuclear contaminated water from the Fukushima nuclear plant stated that Japan should remedy its selfish conduct of transferring the risk of nuclear contamination to the world at once.
That Japan has clung obstinately to its way to discharge nuclear contaminated water into sea, flagrantly transferring the risk of nuclear contamination to the whole world. This is extremely selfish and irresponsible. The Japanese side should remedy its selfish conduct of transferring the risk of nuclear contamination to the world right away, so as not to turn the nuclear contaminated Fukushima water into shame for Japan. Regarding Japan's extremely selfish and irresponsible wrongdoing, I will also stress that China and other stakeholders have the rights and responsibility to take justified, legitimate and necessary preventive measures to maintain the safety of marine environment, food safety and people's health.
Authorities in the Indonesian province of Java declared a state of emergency due to a fire that has been raging for several days at a landfill site. The flames have been spreading since Tuesday at the Sharimukti landfill, where the waste from the city of Bangjun at its 2.5 million inhabitants is piled up. At least 30 fire engines have struggled in vain to contain the blaze on the 25-hectare site, a task complicated by the high temperatures and strong winds. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. We'll find a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The Military Junta of Niger authorized on Thursday the armed forces of Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene in case of an armed aggression on their territory. The Prime Minister of Burkina Faso and Mali, Olivia Ramban and Abdoulaye Diop, visited Niamey, Niger's capital, where they were received by the leaders of the Military Junta, General Burhan Taini. According to the Nigerians, foreign ministry orders were signed at the meetings authorizing the defense and security forces of Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene in the event of aggressions or for a military intervention.
The Burkina Faso and Mali ministers reiterated their country's solidarity and support for Niger in the face of the illegal, illegitimate and inhuman sanctions imposed by ECOWAS and the EU this month. In violation of the text of the said institutions, they further reiterated their rejection of an armed intervention against the people of Niger, which will be considered a declaration of war. During their discussions, the three ministers welcomed the quality of the relations of brotherhood, friendship, cooperation and good neighborliness that bind Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, and reaffirmed their desire to stimulate and to boost cooperation between the three countries to raise it to the level of their ambitions and the legitimate expectation of their respective peoples who aspire to full sovereignty, peace, security and development.
An election observation mission of the Southern African Development Community set up raised concern about some aspects of the voting process in Zimbabwe on Friday.
Some polling stations opened more than 12 hours after the stipulated time. The reason provided by ZEC for the unprecedented development was the unavailability of ballot papers, particularly for the local authority elections, and also due to previous litigation. The subsequent information from ZEC that they did not have adequate ballot papers has the unfortunate effect of creating doubts about the credibility of this process.
Speaking to teleSUR's special envoy at the BRICS summit, the Foreign Ministry's spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, explained the effects that dollarization has in the international community and the need to use local currencies in international trade.
Is used as a tool of gigamonyism and a new sort of colonialism when it's used to punish and to segregate and to make others' lives more complicated or turn it into nightmare. And this is not the goal of BRICS or Russia or Turkey or China or Brazil or other countries to refuse from dollar. It's the problem of United States that they use this currency, their own currency, as a tool to turn others' life into a nightmare.
Likewise, Russian spokeswoman Zakharova also stressed that the US dollar is a problematic currency for countries to relate on nowadays.
I'm sorry to say this, but it is obvious. It's not my political opinion. It's a basics. It's economic basics. It's a very problematic currency nowadays. You know the figures and you know the numbers. And you know how many economic world crises were started from United States, as for example 2008. So they initiated world crisis. Their currency cannot overcome their problems. So everybody in the world do not want to resolve American problems. They want to create sort of guarantee, financial guarantee system not to be victims one more time of American crisis.
During his participation in the 15th summit of the BRICS group, President Nicolas Maduro offers details about Venezuela's productive capacities. The head of state expressed Venezuela's willingness to join the BRICS group, since they consider that it will contribute to counteract the effects of the sanctions imposed by Washington. The president issued that Join the Bloc will help to dismantle the system of financial and commercial domination. At the same time, he highlighted the importance of the role played by the multinational organizations since it promotes truth among the peoples and governments of Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials from Facebook and Twitter, and anonyms as well. For TeleSUR English from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.